Hello, hopefully you're joining me to get a little bit of help with your GCSE Maths and at foundation level, so up to a grade 5, and we're going to look at calculating a percentage with a calculator. And if you are on a calculator paper, and 2 out of the 3 papers are calculator papers, then for these sorts of questions, make sure you do use a calculator, because you can, so many times I see people using non-calculator methods, which they will get there, but it takes a bit of time, and the exams are written with timing in mind. So they would expect a percentage question with a calculator to maybe take 2 minutes. If you spend 5 minutes on a non-calculator method, then you're just robbing yourself of time for some of those later questions were a little bit trickier. So if you've got a calculator on a calculator paper, use your calculator. So let's have a look at a question. Let's say working out 12% of, and we'll make it a money question. So let's say £324, often percentages. Certainly when you leave school and go into the real world, percentages often are to do with money. So let's make it a money question. 12% of £324. Well, looking at the percent, if you remember that percent means out of 100. The percent symbol there was designed specifically to reflect the fact that it was out of 100. It is the number 100 rearranged. There's the 1 there on a slope, and then there's 2 zeros. So percent means out of 100. So 12% means 12 out of 100 of, I'll ignore the pound sign for now. If we're on a question, we're now working out now, so we can put our units on, our pounds at the end. During our working out, we'll just miss it out. So we've got 12 out of 100 of 324. Now, I'm sure you were told many times in year 7, year 8, if you're working out a fraction, which is now a fraction of a number, you divide by the denominator and times by the numerator. So that's 324 divided by 100 times by 12, which you could do on your calculator. 324 divided by 100 times by 12. Well, we can be even cleverer than that, because this requires putting in 12 divided by 100 or using your fraction button. But we can put that straight into our calculator as a decimal. 12 out of 100 is, as a decimal, 0.12. So let me make my decimal point look like a decimal point. 0.12. That's 12 out of 100. 12% as a decimal, 0.12. Right, of in maths is just times. Of is times. Like if you've got 3 groups of 4, that's 3 times 4. 3 groups of 4, 3 times 4. Of is times. And then 324. And we can put that straight into our calculator. So let's do that. So get my calculator. So it is 0.12, that's your 12% of, so times 324, and we've got our answer. So that's £38.88. Okay, let's write that down then. So £38.88. If this is our final answer, let's put in our pound sign. So £38.88. And we'll just check that. £38.88. £38.88. It's always worth doing that in an exam, just to make sure that you've definitely got it right. That's what your calculator said. 0.12 times 324. You're in an exam. Check, check, double check. So £38.88. Yeah, I've got that right. So this is all about doing those decimal multipliers. So let's just concentrate on those. 12% meant timesing by 0.12. So let's do a little bit of practice to make sure we are okay with that. Let's try, what happens if you wanted to work out 74%? What would that be as a decimal for your decimal multiplier? And what about 6%? What would that be as a decimal multiplier? You might want to pause the video, have a think, write it down, and then see if you've got it right. Okay, let's see what you should have got. So 74%, 74 out of 100, which means 74 divided by 100. You should have got 0.74. And 6%. A lot of people make the mistake of writing down 0.6, but 0.6 is the same as 0.60. That's 60%, so that's not right. 0.60 is not 6%. We're dividing by 100, so we need to make sure that we are divided by 100 and not dividing by 10. So 6% is 0.06. Well done if you got that. 74%, 0.74. 6% is 0.06. Okay, let's have a look at a question from an exam paper. Right, what have we got here? This is from an OCR paper 2 or 3 years ago. It was from a calculator paper. A test has 20 questions. Amaya attempts all of the questions. She gets 65% of the questions correct. Kai gets 6 of the questions wrong. Who has the smallest number of questions wrong? Show working to support your answer. Okay, so there's a few things here, and it's always worth reading the question 2 or 3 times. And if you've got a highlighter pen, then use it. So what's the important information? A test has 20 questions. Amaya attempts all of the questions. She gets 65% of the questions correct. Okay, well, we could start getting some marks here, because it says show working to support your answer. So if we write working out down, which is always recommended, we're going to start getting some marks. In fact, for this question, because it says that you're not going to get any marks at all unless you do show you're working out. Because this is a question where you could guess the answer. Who has the smallest number of questions wrong? Well, it's Amaya, or it's Kai. It's one of them. So you've got to show you're working out to support your answer. Otherwise, you could guess it. And if you just guessed it without any working out, you get no marks. Right. Let's go back to writing some working out then. 20 questions. Amaya attempts all of the questions. 65% of she got correct. So let's help the examiner give us some marks. Let's tell them. This is from Amaya. 65% of 20 questions correct. So we know 65% is 0.65. Of is times 20 questions. And it's a calculator paper. So let's have a look at what that is. Clear our last calculation. It's 0.65 times 20 questions. It's 13 questions. Okay, let's write that down. Let's start getting some marks. That is 13 questions that she got correct. Right, that's Amaya dealt with. She got 13 correct. Kai gets 6 questions wrong. Kai gets 6 questions wrong. Right, well, let's just highlight that. Kai gets 6 questions wrong. Already, because I've highlighted stuff here, I can see a mismatch. I've just done Amaya and that was correct. And here, Kai gets 6 of the questions wrong. Okay, well, I can write that down, but there is a mismatch. Kai, I don't need to do any working out. It tells us in the question, get 6 wrong. Right, correct for Amaya, 6 wrong for Kai. Well, I've done some working out. What was the question? Always make sure you read what the question is. Don't just do some working out and think, oh, well, I've answered it. Who has the smallest number of questions wrong? Okay, so we're interested in the questions that they've got wrong. And that's unusual because normally you think, well, how many have you got right? Oh, she got so many right. He got this so many right. This question is all about how many they got wrong. So let's go back to Amaya. We know that she's got 13 correct, so we can add on to that. So she got other 20 questions. So that is 7 questions that she got wrong. We can write some working out for that. There were 20 questions altogether. We worked out she got 13 correct. So 20 take away 13 means she got 7 questions wrong. Put it into your calculator if you want to double check, but definitely write it down. 20 take away 13 is 7. So Amaya got 7 wrong. The question tells us Kai got 6 wrong. So I think we're good to answer the question now. Who has the smallest number of questions wrong? Smallest number. Well, 6 is smaller than 7. Double check that. Who has the smallest number of questions wrong? 6 is smaller than 7. It's Kai. It's definitely Kai. We've done all our working out. And that's what you should do, not just with this question, but with every question. Read it and read it again and read it again and highlight bits and then read it again and check you've answered the question. Have you written down your working out? Make sure you are trying to get as many marks as possible on each question with your working out and making sure you're answering the question. I think I've got that one correct. In fact, I know I've got it correct. Good luck.